So here we are. This is the iPhone 11 Pro. I recently upgraded from the 8 Plus just because I was probably due an upgrade. So if you are curious at what case I'm using, it's a really nice case from Moose. I tend to get these for both me and my wife. These tend to be pretty good quality in terms of dropping. I've got no affiliation to them, but I just really like the quality of the cases they provide. I believe this one is called the Contour. So here we are inside of my iPhone. I've organized things fairly sort of folder based, so it's all on one page. And the main reason behind that is because I mainly use the majority of applications from the swipe bar. So if I swipe down, I can see the Siri suggestions. They normally are pretty correct in terms of helping me find an application. But if I just wanted to search one, and I was searching for Huckleberry, I could quickly access that quite there. So the actual search is probably the way that I find applications because the majority of them are buried, which helps for better organization on the home screen. So on the sort of folder side of stuff, let's start with that. I have basics, utilities, resources, fitness, work, banking, social, and baby. These tend to be the majority of aspects of my life. And as you can imagine, I'll go through all of those folders. A lot of people ask why the bottom bar. So the main reason behind these is because I tend to access these fairly rapidly, making sure I can call people, making sure I can text people, always useful assets. But in the middle I have to do it because I need to quick capture stuff normally. And if I press the 3D touch, I can normally access the 3D touch and be able to add things fairly fast. You're probably wondering why I don't have apps like Notion on there, or maybe my calendar. I used to have Notion to do this woven there, but I just found that I was using this one majority of the time for capture, and I was using the other ones as a location sort of application where I would go to them if I need them. So inside of basics, you'll just find the stock applications. There's really nothing there that is anything too different. The majority of the time I find the camera on the right hand side through the control center. So I don't actually go through that in a sense. So I'm actually saving time there. So the utilities is very similar to basics. It has a few of the default applications, but I have Google Maps in there. And as you can imagine, that's just a useful tool when I'm using it. So this is where I store the majority of my applications. So Google Photos is one of my favorite applications, helps you to store those photos for later. And what I particularly like is the highlights feature they've added recently, where you can see like what you're doing 3 years ago, etc., which is quite cool. So I've got Google Drive in case I need to share a link with somebody, maybe a client or someone that I'm working with, just as quick, easy access on my phone. I've got 2 paying parking applications. I've recently discovered that you can actually do this, and to be honest, it's pretty amazing. In the UK at least, you can go and find a parking code and be able to save instead of having to get coins out and things like that. And it works with the majority of parking areas, which is pretty cool. So I've also got Ring security camera. This is for the house. That's handy for checking in and seeing whether the house has got any motion detection on it, which is very cool. I've been considering getting a doorbell one, but it's just a security camera, which is helpful for protecting the house. I've also got the Formula 1 application, which is probably one of my most opened applications on my phone. This has news, and I pay for the premium of it, so you get like the live tracker during races and things like that. I have Evernote on there. I don't really access it that much. I mainly use it when I'm scanning my documents. I'll hopefully do a video about documents very soon, which has been very useful. Now, this one's been a good application. I've recently installed it. It's called Camo Studio. I'll probably do a full video on it properly, but it connects with an application on my MacBook and helps me to record webcam through my phone, which is very cool. Actually, from a folk that I met at Business of Software event last year. So I've also got Audible. I'm a massive Audible fan in terms of getting through books. You'll also notice, because I've set this up as a new iPhone, that I actually don't have a podcasting application. Let me know if you're the same as me in the comments. Like, I actually don't listen to podcasts anymore. I think when I stopped commuting or walking to work, I actually just stopped listening to them. But Audible, for some reason, still sort of stays in the mix. It's very weird how that's happened. So I've got some default resources: Amazon, Just Eat, Moonpig. Moonpig, I sent loads of cards recently. Domino's we just downloaded, have fast Domino's ever, which was quite cool. Groceries and Moki, which I'm starting to use as the sort of study application. I'm looking to learn some Japanese there, so hopefully that'll be quite cool to give it a go properly. What 3 Words is quite a cool application, because if you're in the UK and you are looking to get some, not help, but say you're stuck in the middle of nowhere, it'll give you basically 3 words that are associated to a square, and you can basically give them a direct location. But this is also useful for sending it to friends. If your friends have one, they'll get directions to that exact square. So they've broken up the earth into squares. Very cool concept. F1 TV is recently been added. That's because it's got archive of all of the previous races, so I can go back in the archive and I can see pretty much every race that's ever been done. And Becca seems to be getting into the F1 recently, so we have been watching a few older races, which is pretty cool. Skype for the regular stuff, so that's really just all of the resources that I pretty much use. And this is my fitness section. So the fitness section, I've been using a wristband called Whoop. Whoop's been pretty cool, and I have some pros and some cons with it. I'll probably do a separate video, but it connects you up, obviously like a fitness application and fitness tracker like Fitbit. But what you can do is get analysis on how well you've recovered and how well you strain. So for example, today I got an 81% recovery, so probably why I'm looking a little bit better, less tired. And so far I've got an 8.7 daily strain. So that's how much I'm pushing my body. So if I manage to balance them together, so for example, if like a day like this day here, the 76% on the Thursday the 13th, I balanced it quite well, which means that my recovery should get better and better. But it's based on a lot of different factors. I believe it's based on like heart rate variability, resting heart rate, and quite interesting data. The issue with this application is it's a subscription application. It's a membership one. It's like $30 a month. I managed to get a discount on it for like 20, but at the same time it's still pretty pricey. But I'm not going to the gym at the moment. I'm spending a lot of time doing home workouts, and I'm curious at how I'm improving. And through this application at the moment, I'm seeing some improvements in my aerobic rate of recovery as well, which has been very cool. And it also gives you like a bit of a sort of PA, like a personal assistant, because you can get like these performance, and it's called performance assessments, but you can see how well you're optimizing. I'll do a separate video on it and give you some of my opinions on it. I also use LifeSum to track my weight, and occasionally if I'm curious about what I'm doing in terms of progress with food tracking, that's always very useful. It's a great diary for that, and you can also see how much water and steps you've taken. On the topic of sort of food and things like that, I've used Zero, which is a timer for a fasting. So for example, this says I'm 91% into my fast, and I can see, for example, like my history of fasts, and I'm specifically doing this recently to do like one every 2 days. So that's been pretty cool. And the application is developed by the same people who did Oak Meditation. So an application I'm really impressed with recently is Balance. Balance has helped me to do a few meditations, but what I really like about it is the design of the application, and they've got tons of plans. The pain point that I'm going to say is they were giving it away for free for 1 year when at the start of the coronavirus outbreak, but now they're actually charging. But to be honest, I may renew this because this is a really nice application to dip into, and you can see from my profile I've done quite a lot of training so far on it. Not very good at the daily streaks, but I'm able to sort of collect up some badges from it, which is very cool. Balance arguably I'd say is better than Oak Meditation, and for me so far it's been a really pleasurable experience. One of the things I particularly like about it is when you go into a meditation, say I wanted to start this one, it learns from you each time and gives you like people who sort of like track you, I guess, like that you can, they learn from your behaviors as you meditate, and they will customize the plan, and you can choose between, normally you can choose between Leia and Usafi, I can't remember his name precisely, but but it's a really nice sort of transition and workout. So in terms of my work area, I still use Missive and Hey. I'll probably do a video separately on both of them. They're both email applications, and Missive I've been using for about 3 years now. Hey, about 3 months. So you can see how I'm still sort of getting used to it. I've NordVPN for when I'm in coffee shops, and that works quite nicely because I can sort of like pinpoint I need to sign in when I'm on this one. Haven't been in a coffee shop for a while, but you can pick a global location and use a VPN there. So you're a little bit more protected. And you've got Woven here. This is a great calendar application, and I find it to be really useful, especially on the go. Masterclass and Skillshare, which I do occasional on the old phone when I'm specifically wanting to learn, and it's really useful.
25, 26 student.
They've got an audio mode there, which is very cool. So if you want to switch to just an audio, I have YouTube Studio as well there. So they're pretty much all of my work stuff. Moving on, I've also got banking, which are all the sort of banks I use. And also I've got Messenger, Spotify, Instagram and Twitter. They're pretty all useful ones. So I've got 2 applications here, one called Baby Sparks, which is started to use for Otto's development, and one that I'll probably do a separate review on is Huckleberry, which I've been really impressed with. It's basically a baby tracker that keeps an eye on all of the sort of things that you'd expect a baby to do, sleep, feed, poo, and get a temperature. So we're able to keep track of that, and it sort of helps to predict when they're going to go for their nap, but also helps to, for example, between me and Becca, keep track of them. But I'll do a separate review on that, and I really enjoyed that application in terms of how much you can enjoy a baby tracker. So folks, that was my iPhone. Hopefully you found it useful. Maybe you've picked up a few applications that you can take away. Let me know in the comments whether you'd like to recommend some applications that I'm not using. I'd love to hear what your opinions are, and hopefully I can download a few more, and hopefully you can pick up a few more from today's video. So folks, thank you very much, and I'll talk to you in a future video. Cheerio.